This is a highly efficient machine that allows us to catch enough salmon to feed ourselves and our dogs all winter long. Up on shore are canvas wall tents. This is where we stay in the summertime. And then right next to me here are air drying racks. That's where we can hang up salmon before rotating them into the smokehouse, which is this large structure right behind me. The smokehouse is the key to turning salmon into a lightweight, dehydrated, and totally preserved food source. Once it's preserved, we can store it in the cache, which is up on stilts there. That's just a storage shed that keeps our food away from any animals. Oh, speaking of animals, if you look back between the tents, you'll see dog houses. We always bring some dogs to camp with us because they act kind of like a natural alarm system, in case any large animals like a bear try to get close to the fish.
Yeah, well, that's not why you do all this work to get it up there. So good to have the early warning system. And fish camp, a great time for traditions to be passed down and stories to be shared, but as you said, there's a lot of work to be done even for the kids. And looks like you've been doing some processing since we saw you last.
I have been. Right here on the table I have a male chum salmon. In the interior, we catch 3 species of the 5 types of Alaska salmon. Single runs each of king and silver, and then 2 individual runs of chum. Now, chum are a lesser quality fish, and we catch twice as many, so they're usually saved for dogs. I grew up just calling them dogfish. And what I'll show you how to do here is turn this salmon into dog food. The first thing I do is gut my salmon, then cut off the head, and slice along the backbone, making 2 fillets, leaving them attached at the tail. Now, there is some meat left on the backbone here, so I'd use this to start a stew for the dogs at camp. And I'd go and throw the head in there as well. But if this were the head of a higher quality fish, like the king or the sockeye, I'd give it to my grandpa, and he'd use it to make fish head soup, which is a delicacy for the elders.
How is fish head soup?
Well, I don't know, JR. I'm not old enough.
Yeah, well, give her 60 years and ask again. Why all the slicing into the fillet? Now, what does that help?
Well, right now I'm scoring the salmon. This is a process where I make diagonal cuts into the flesh all the way down to the skin. What this does is it creates a larger surface area on the fillet of the salmon. And that allows the smoke from the smokehouse to further work its way in and better dehydrate it.
Yeah, see as he holds this up? That's a good photo. A little shake, all those vents pop open. Now that can lose just about all of its water weight, but none of its nutritional value. That's all going to stay sealed right in there. Nicely done. Why, though, not just take it into the smokehouse? You're going to leave it exposed out here?
Yes, we never like to put a wet, drippy salmon directly into the smokehouse because they could mold or sour. So we hang it outside on the air drying racks just till it develops a nice sheen or a glaze. On a day like today, that won't take more than an hour. Then I'll rotate it inside. Now keep in mind, every family has their own traditions, and each region does things a little bit differently. But everything we do here is dog food. So each salmon rotates around the smokehouse for at least 2 weeks until it's totally dehydrated, weighs less than a pound, and ends up looking something like this one right here.
Yeah, completely dried out, very nutritious still, but you can bundle it up like firewood, take it out on a dog sled. Doesn't look like it maybe tastes much better than firewood like that, though. So how about the salmon you make for your family now? Some differences?
Oh, there's a lot of differences. First thing we do is start with a higher quality fish, like the king, or my family fishes for the sockeye every summer on the Copper River. Then we clean and bone that really, really well. My grandpa actually follows this same cutting process, and he calls that eating fish. But you can also cut salmon into thin, vertical pieces called fish strips. Either way, when you make salmon for people, you have to soak it in a brine. And that's a salt solution, and you can add yummy ingredients like brown sugar and honey. Then it rotates around the smokehouse for a shorter amount of time because we want it to have a much softer texture. My family does about 5 days to a week. And we don't smoke at the same time as dog food either because we like to use different woods. For people, we'll use a soft, sweet wood like cotton or alder, but for dogs, we'll just use whatever we can find, really. Spruce wood, driftwood, they're not picky.
No, I've seen a bunch of